Hey guys, welcome to the Game Precast episode 24. My name is Frank. I'm joined by Mike. Sorry we skipped last week. The topics just were not there. We had like one thing to talk about, so we ended up skipping it and we merged the topics into this week so we can actually have more than a 15-minute discussion. Um, Now we are going to be changing up the show a little bit this week, and we are going to skip our normal intro thing where we go off for about 40 minutes talking about what we've been doing in our life because we realized that no one actually watches that segment and it's pretty much just us repeating the same conversation we had before we press record because we usually talk about the stuff before we record and then we talk about it again. So we will bring it back eventually, just when the show actually has more viewers because when the show is still in its beginning phases and it's still growing. So trying to put that in now when most people just want to come here, listen to the news and then dip, it's kind of pointless. But we are still going to talk about new games like Returnal. That came out. When did that come out? 30th, right?
Last Friday, I
Yeah.
believe.
So last Friday. Now my copy is still in the mail. I know Mike has done one run, I believe. So
Yeah.
Mike, how you liking that?
Well, I mean, again, I am in no position to really judge the game or give anywhere near a full review of it. But from what I played, I like it. I mean, obviously, I'm a massive sci-fi guy, so I mean, this sort of thing I just naturally gravitate to. Um, I will say though, something that I noticed right away and has been a major topic of discussion online is that there's no save feature, which is
Yeah,
pretty
that's
dumb
like a
because
little
I've heard that.
concerning.
Yeah, I've heard that runs can get up to 3 hours long. And it's like
Yeah.
you are not allowed to go take a break or save and quit
Yeah,
and come
like
back
you
to
could
it
put your
later.
PlayStation in rest mode, but if there's like an update, a power outage, anything like that, all that's gone.
Yeah,
Or if
that
you want to go
happened
play
to
another
some
game,
people.
and that's where fucking the Xbox Quick Resume kind of would be clutch here because you can open up 4 different games. So then technically you can say, all right, I'm gonna go play some Resident Evil 8, and that's why I'm not even gonna touch Returnal until I beat Resident Evil 8 because I know I'm gonna want to like go to it, and I'm not gonna be like, oh shit, I have another hour left on this run, and I gotta go
Yeah,
beat this
but
boss, and it's like,
that's also I wouldn't like, give Quick Resume too much credit just because of that, because that's a very situational circumstance, you know what
yeah,
I
for
mean?
sure. I mean, they
More
could have just
often than
added a
not, you
save.
don't wanna I mean, I personally don't wanna use Quick Resume that much because it's gonna put too much pressure on the CPU over time, you're gonna kill your console quicker.
Yeah,
I just
cause
prefer to keep
overheating.
things. Yeah, I don't want things to, get hot like that, I just prefer to keep the components as intact as I can for as long as possible. So, Quick Resume definitely is counterintuitive to that pursuit, so I choose not to use it, but regardless, back to the conversation of Returnal. I mean, the gunplay is very good. I mean, I enjoyed that a lot right off the bat. That was very enjoyable, very reactive, especially with the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. I love that stuff. I'm still not over it, man. I think Xbox needs to really hop on the ball soon and make an elite controller or just a regular controller with that feature. I think that
I
should be
agree.
the standard. I think Nintendo with their next Switch should try and look into, instead of like the
Okay,
rumble feedback, some type of haptic feedback for the
dude,
Joy
Nintendo won't
Cons.
do that for the next fucking 50 years, bro.
No, I know. This is completely wishful
All right,
thinking. I'm
wish
not
list.
I don't think this is gonna be a reality, at least in the near future. But one never knows, especially if something really catches on in the industry.
Yeah,
I mean, who thought of PlayStation ever doing VR like 15 years
that's
ago?
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
So
a crazy idea back then.
yeah, but Returnal, besides the save feature, not being a thing, I think it's a really good title. Again, I'm really not in the position to judge it because I haven't played that much, but from what I played, I liked. But again, I didn't want to get too into it because, like yourself, I'm saving myself for Village on Friday, and I know I'm going to be playing that at least 2 to 3 times before I touch anything else. So. Other than that, what I've seen online, the reception is quite positive. I mean, I haven't seen that much negative feedback besides, the usual console war bullshit, because that's all it is at this point. If you're still, I say this a lot, but if you're still picking a side in the console war, grow the fuck up a little bit. I don't know.
Yep,
Maybe stop wasting your time and showing loyalty to a corporation that doesn't give a rat's ass about you. Use their
exactly.
services to the best of your benefit and leave it at that. Play the games you want to play on the platforms you want to play on. If you want to play on multiple platforms or just one, that's fine. But like, that it's all down to preference. It's all down to the individual. So just it's nonsensical. This
Now,
argument, this timeless and pointless argument.
uh, not including the what do you say, not including the saving stuff. Did you think it was difficult?
Oh, yeah, no, I
All
got
right.
my ass
So
whooped
you
by
did
like a
you
mini
like, did you beat the
boss.
first boss in your first run or no?
No, no,
Okay.
absolutely not. I got to like this area with this beefed up enemy on four legs. It wasn't one of the standard types of enemies. It was a lot bigger, had a bigger health bar. I don't know if it was a boss. I don't know what boss fights look like, but I don't believe it was. It just look, I am not the best with bullet hell games and like a lot of enemies coming at you at once. Unless it's like Gears Horde or Black Ops Zombies, one of those
Yeah.
classic type situations I've been playing with friends for years, Halo Firefight, the type of game that I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's regular stuff. But when it comes to this, it can be a little too much at times. So this guy was just moving so goddamn fast. I mean, I'm talking past Sekiro and Bloodborne speeds. I mean, obviously that's standard for bullet hell, and this isn't anywhere near Souls, but it's just like way faster than the pace I'm used to. So this guy just knocked me into a corner, and then again, and then a third time, which is what killed me. But
Nice.
I do like, and I don't think this is a spoiler because this is right at the beginning of the game. I like how when you get to the planet, like you already find a corpse of yourself there. So you don't even really start at the beginning of this cycle. Like you're
Yeah.
coming in on the middle of it, so you don't really even know how long you've been there. And that, at least for me, automatically set up a lot of intrigue for me to figure out what the hell is going on here. I mean, even the game before the game came out, that was the main selling point for me. Like this planet, like they worked the procedural generation of the levels and the roguelike elements into the lore, which I always love when they do. Like Hades does a good job of that as well. I mean, the planet's constantly changing. So my initial theory is like the planet is just like pure matter or dark matter itself, and it's constantly shifting and moving, and that's the reason for it, and that's why you're trapped in it. Probably dark matter would make more sense. That's my current thinking right now, but that's the main reason why I'm so captivated by it, and I definitely intend to go back to it after Village. But yeah, I understand why people are liking it as much as they are. But there are absolutely some well-founded criticisms that we've seen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm concerned about the difficulty to a certain
Mm,
degree. Like, just because, like, how I was in Demon Souls. Like, a 30-minute run, losing all my progress. And then I'm like, all right, I want to go fucking bang my head into a wall and go cry.
well,
And,
there's some progression through every run, permanent items
yeah.
and upgrades and stuff like in every roguelike, and it's a different kind of difficulty. You might not find this as hard.
Yeah.
I find it harder, but that's only because I'm very much used to Souls.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, we shouldn't be making comparisons with Dark Souls.
Yeah,
I
I
only
know.
brought up Bloodborne in the first place because that's one of the faster paced games that I've
It's
played
fair.
in my life. Only reason why I brought it up was based on speed, people. Returnal is nothing like Soulsborne. I want to make that very clear. Nothing. Not a single inkling of,
It might make you rage,
identical
but
characters. No, yeah, that's the
that's the
only,
only similarity.
commonality. Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, let's move into our first bit of news. So I made two little segments up here called Xbox News Roundup and Sony News Roundup because there is a bunch of Xbox and a bunch of Sony news. I'm just going to compile them both into their own sections. So
All right.
first for Xbox, we have some news on the PC gaming side. So Tom Warren came out with a report saying that Microsoft is going to be shaking up the world of PC gaming by cutting their 30% fee down to 12%. That's going to match what Epic Games is doing. So now Steam is the only one that is still at 30 out of the big three. So whether that actually makes Steam change, I doubt it.
I don't think so because they already are pretty much unaffected by this Epic Games Store. I mean, they're still unprofitable. Tim Sweeney says, what? Like, so much has been revealed by this Apple lawsuit with them, too. I mean, didn't he say, like, they wouldn't even be profitable by 2024? I thought I
Yeah.
might have heard
Yep.
that
No, you're
somewhere.
right. It's 2024.
Something like that. It's insane. I mean, and let's be honest, Microsoft is definitely in a better position to do this than Epic
Epic.
Games is because one, they have the name recognition, and two, they have way more cash to burn. I mean, they're
Yeah.
already losing money off the Bethesda purchase. I don't believe Game Pass is profitable yet because they
No,
haven't said if it has or
it's
it
not.
hasn't been. But if they haven't said that it has, then I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
it hasn't
it's
been
gonna
because
be
they
a
would
bit
say if
before
it
it's
was.
profitable. Yeah,
especially with a 7.5 billion Bethesda acquisition. They're going to be bleeding cash for a long time, but Epic has nowhere near that kind of money. I mean, yes, they made 9 billion off Fortnite in like 3 years or whatever, but it's nothing compared to the money Microsoft rakes
yeah,
in through all
exactly.
their different avenues of, consumerism, because they have way more of a product base and a diverse range of products than Epic Game Store has, or Epic has, I
Yeah.
should say.
And you want to know what Epic should have done? And they're starting to do this now, but at the start, they should have never made the store. What they should have done is they
Yeah.
should have
Oh,
become
that was a smart decision that everybody called,
at the
but
start they should have became just like a publishing powerhouse and just
yeah,
published a ton of games, funded them completely like they're doing now with Alan Wake 2 and another Remedy game and a bunch
acquire
of other like indie
studios.
games. Do that, acquire some smaller studios, become a publisher powerhouse doing different deals and stuff like that, and then creating the store after that. Because
Yeah, like a larger private division almost at
I mean,
first.
if you look at like I don't want to say, but like Ubisoft or EA, they all have their stores, and sure, people don't like them as much as Steam, but they don't hate them as much as Epic. People hated Epic because they kind of just came out of nowhere, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go pay $1 million to this developer, and we're gonna go make it an exclusive
Yeah, they
for
brought
6
platform
months."
exclusivity to PC, which never had it to begin with,
And they're pulling
and a
off
lot of
games that
people
were
resented
already
that.
announced for Steam, like Metro Exodus, and
That was
that's
bullshit.
where all the controversy came from. And they could have
That,
avoided
yeah.
all that if they just went the publisher route. And I'm glad to see they're going that way now, and they're gonna go fund some projects, and we'll see how it works out for them. But it's a step in the right direction, at the very least.
The thing is, I really am not rooting for Epic here. Honestly, I'm not. I mean, they really, I do resent them for bringing platform exclusivity to PC. I mean, that was the standard only really when it came to, exclusives. Like we expected EA games to be on Origin or Blizzard games to be on Battle.net because those were their proprietary storefronts, right? They
Yeah,
got 100% of the profits. It makes sense logistically and from a business standpoint, but like Epic just swooped in, was like, "Oh, games that are already on Steam available for pre-order. We're gonna snatch those up." All these storied franchises, like for example, Hitman, where you have the first and second game on your old platform. You're not gonna be able to get the sequel, or in Hitman's case, the third game on Steam. And, that's definitely a problem when you have things like save progression, like Hitman does, which is why I'm using that as an example because it's a prime one.
yeah.
But we've seen it happen with so many other games. I mean, and they've been shelling out a lot of money for this too. I mean, that got leaked in the court documents. I've seen some of the numbers for the games, and they are just,
A lot.
I think Tim Sweeney, I don't know what his deal is. He's an enigma to me. I don't know why he's doing what he does. I think he has a little bit of a complex now with all of this success coming out of nowhere, because let's for, let us not forget he's not the man who built Epic up. I mean, if you want to talk about popularity, it was Cliffy B. He's the one that came in, established Gears of War as a dominant franchise in the shooter space,
Yeah,
and really put Epic on the map. We would not have, the success of Fortnite and the status of Epic Games today without the foundations that was built off of Gears of War. So this guy comes in, he's like, okay, I gotta top that. Maybe, this is all speculation. He's either like, oh, I gotta top that, or I gotta put us back on the map. I mean, or what more likely is the case, I'm just gonna ride the Fortnite gravy train and try and, make me look as ideal as I can to our shareholders by continuing this profitability. And so he thought that making a store, I guess, was the best way to do that, instead of just cashing on Fortnite in every way possible, which again they're continuing to do, which is they're essentially establishing a gaming metaverse in there, which I don't feel comfortable with. But what are you gonna do? I'm beginning to ramble. My point being, with all of this, is that Epic Games is putting themselves in a very precarious position, because I don't think they will ever get to the point that they want to be, because they've been blinded by their hubris of success.
that's fair.
That's what I was trying to point
Yeah, you
out.
better save your rant for later in the show because I got something I need you to be mad about. But did you see some of those emails from like Phil Spencer? Like he seems like such a chill guy just based off some of those emails. Like I saw two of them that he sent to Tim Sweeney, and it's just like so casual and laid back. And he's talking about how he wants to bring XCloud to other consoles and stuff, and how he wants free to play. And I mean, these are private emails between two people, and I don't think Phil Spencer ever expected these to get leaked in a court case. So,
Yeah.
part of me also feels like when the Xbox Live Gold got increased a few months ago, I don't think that was Phil Spencer doing it, based off those emails now that we see. Like, I'm thinking that was someone higher up in Microsoft above him, kind of said, Phil, I don't give a shit, we're doing this. And then the backlash,
Well,
and they're like, yeah, Phil, you're right, you know what you're doing.
while I do agree with you, probably we have to acknowledge those are entirely different instances that have no real correlation. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
other other than that, I mean, it does definitely help establish Phil's character behind the scenes.
yeah.
So I do think that you are probably right. It was someone above him who tried it because they saw how much money Game Pass Ultimate was raking in. So,
Money,
you know,
money, money.
yeah.
All right. Up next in the Xbox discussion, we have new games from Game Pass. So we got Just Cause, Reloaded, which is
Just Cause 4
yeah, it does say
Reloaded.
4. Its
Yeah.
image is so tiny. So that was the definitive edition of Just Cause 4. That's coming to console, cloud, and PC. We got Outlast 2 coming to console, cloud, and PC. We got Psychonauts coming to console, cloud, PC. Red Dead Online coming to console and cloud. Steep coming to console and cloud. Um, FIFA 21 coming to console and PC. Dragon Quest. Dude, this image is so tiny. I gotta open this up, bro. There we go. Dragon Quest Builders 2 coming to consoles and PC. Final Fantasy. I don't know, dude. X/X dash 2. Well, what the fuck are these names for Final Fantasy, bro?
10 and 10-2.
10-2. What the fuck is 10 and 10-2? Why couldn't it just be 10?
Well, there's 10 and then 10-2 is the sequel to 10, but not the next Final Fantasy, so it's not 11
I didn't know
because
they
it's
actually
still.
did sequels to their.
Well, yeah, there's like Final Fantasy 13, then 13-2, and then 13 Lightning
Oh,
Returns, which is technically 13-3.
Jesus Christ. And then
Yeah, that
Remnant
and
from the
Kingdom Hearts.
Ashes coming to PC. So a pretty solid little group there. Not too shabby.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, Outlast 2 is very scary. I put down that game. I don't know if I'll ever pick it back up.
yeah, I remember
But
watching the first Outlast so much on YouTube, but I never played.
yeah, I remember that took the internet by storm when it came out, for
Yep.
sure. You know, pretty much everything besides the sports titles in RDR Online is good on there. So.
Yeah, fucking Red Dead Online, dude. Fuck that shit.
I mean, RDR 2,
Great
masterpiece.
game. But
But
online, get the fuck out of here.
online's terrible. There's nothing
Um,
to do.
we also got some FPS boosts coming.
Oh, we got a lot of FPS
A
boosts.
lot of FPS boosts. So the total list is now up to 97. You can go read the list on Xbox's website because I don't know which ones are new and which ones are old. They never actually said it. But I know we were sitting around 15, I believe, and now we're up to 97. So big increase here. Bunch of games from that were on Game Pass and EA Play. And you're just going to continue seeing that list get bigger and bigger, which is really exciting.
A lot of big multiplayer games too, like Battlefront 2. I know it's a part of that EA Play thing, like you
Yeah.
said, but a lot of stuff is getting enhanced. I mean, which again is just really putting Sony to shame. Even if they did reverse their decision on the storefronts, there's still no way to have your old games run on your new hardware or run enhanced on your new hardware.
Yeah,
And Microsoft is doing both. So
got a bunch of Lego games, Life is Strange games, some Metro, some Watch Dogs, Wasteland 3, just some Star Wars stuff, a lot of cool stuff. So you gotta check out the whole list and go through it and see what you have, and very exciting. So up next, we're gonna move into the Sony part of the discussion. Give me a second. Let me get that timestamp down.
Sony hasn't been doing much this week.
Not much. You got one thing this week and one thing from last week. So the one thing from last week, which would have been our only discussion piece last week, is the PlayStation Plus Video Pass is coming out in Poland, just Poland right now. So yeah, we would have been talking about something that only affects our Poland audience. But it's giving PlayStation Plus users access to 20 movies and TV shows from Sony Pictures, plus more content every 3 months. So instead of every month, it's every 3 months they'll add something new. So a little bit slower than games on PlayStation Plus. And
I
there's
don't
no
know
word.
why they're only testing this in Poland. I mean,
Yeah, they
I'm
they just
not
want a small
I'm
market, I
not
guess.
look, I'm not dissing Poland at all. It's like I'm pretty sure a quarter or possibly a little bit more of what makes up my, genetics. So, love Poland, love the Polish people. Great place, great guys and gals. But I feel like, you know, this should be in more places, in more
Yeah, I
places.
guess they just don't want,
Like,
giving it access to a bunch of people if they're saying, oh, this isn't worth it. I mean, the three, like,
I
poster
guess.
movies that they got on there is Venom, Zombieland, Double Tap, and Bloodshot.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen Venom, so that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean,
I
they're
don't
not, like,
understand.
they're not old movies. They're not new movies either. They're about 3 years old. So, I mean, not bad.
Yeah, I
And, I
feel like
mean,
they wouldn't be
especially for
losing much
free.
by just letting, all PlayStation Plus subscribers globally have access to that. But
Yeah, I think it's a little cool bonus. And then as far as the other PlayStation news, we got the new PlayStation Plus games for May. These include Battlefield 5, Stranded Deep, and Wreckfest. So, I mean, another pretty solid month from
Wreckfest
PlayStation.
is fun. Wreckfest is
Yeah,
fun.
Wreckfest is the
Stranded Deep,
PS5 version, so you get the upgrade to there as well.
Stranded Deep is all right. Survival games are your thing.
Yeah.
And then Battlefield 5 is garbage. That's coming from Battlefield veterans. So
I enjoyed the campaign for it, but multiplayer I never got
I
into.
thought the campaign sucked. I beat the
Man.
campaign. I beat it, all of it, except Last Tiger because that wasn't even out release.
Nah, yeah.
And
I
um,
had to go back into the game to play that.
yeah, I thought it was quite terrible. Honestly, I mean, I thought it spat in the face of historical accuracy for one, and it's in the single player and the multiplayer. I thought it was just utterly ridiculous. I mean, look, put race, put identity politics aside. You cannot have black women Nazis. Do you see the contradiction? Do you see the problem?
I just don't think they actually care
Look,
enough.
and the
And I
other
mean, that's
thing
what
to
they
me,
said. I remember
it's
the
like,
guy from EA came out. It was real controversial at the time. He said, "Oh, if this bothers you that much, then just don't play
don't
our
play the
game."
game, and no one did, and no one did. It bombed.
Yeah,
Battlefield 5 was a failure. I mean, and Firestorm is dead on arrival. Nothing brought that game back, not even the Pacific Theater, because you have women storing the beaches of Lake Iwo Jima and whatnot. And look, as someone who had a grandparent serve in World War II, I find that incredibly offensive. Because look, while I do want, equality in games, I want it where it fits, where it's realistic, where it's not there just for the sake of political brownie points. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to deform real world history and negate or lessen the impact of the sacrifices of the men who gave their lives for the freedom of the world. Look, like that is insanely
yeah, and
disrespectful.
I can
You
see this
can't.
happening in like COD because COD has
Yeah,
always been like this recently, but Battlefield I feel like has always been the more I don't want to say
look,
stable, but
I'm
more
just saying if
historical, and
you
then they've kind
if
of changed it
you
recently, and now they don't do it.
look, all for representation, but my thing is if you weren't there, you don't deserve to be represented.
Yeah,
Like, that makes no sense. You did not take part in the battle. You were not one of the thousands who were slaughtered on those beaches. You have no right to be shown
yeah,
because you never made that sacrifice or even attempted to. Maybe if you could have, you would have, but that's not how reality turned out.
yeah. You don't need
Plain and
inclusion
simple.
in like every game. I mean, if you want to be inclusive in a new game, then yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, modern warfare. I mean, that's a modern game, so that's true. But in that exact situation, if they weren't there, then there's no need. Like,
It's
it shouldn't
disrespectful.
be
It's
controversial
disrespectful
if
to
you
the
want
valor of those
a
soldiers.
realistic experience.
Look, at like in even the pre-release trailers, they had like someone with a hook arm and like metal limbs. It's just like, what is this garbage? It's like this isn't Battlefield. The first one was 1942. That was one of the best FPSs of all time, and it was World War II, and it was accurate for what it needed to be. And then now we have this. It's just such a pitiful fall. And that's what me and all my friends, you guys who are watching, you gotta understand. We play Battlefield religiously. We're still on Battlefield 4. I'm nearly a 140 Colonel. I'm around 118 right now, I believe. I've been playing this game for a long time, and I love 3, and I love 2, and I love Bad Company. I love Bad Company too. I love these games, man. And to see, and honestly, fuck it. I like the multiplayer of Hardline a lot as well. And, one had its shining moments too. But it's just 1 fell after launch so hard with barely any post-launch support, in the beginning, and 5 was just terrible right off the bat and hasn't really recovered. So I've been saying to all my friends, and they've been saying this exactly back to me. If Battlefield 6
If it
is
flops, it's
not
done.
if Battlefield 6 is not a success, if it is not fun to play, if it doesn't bring us back to the glory days of 3 and 4, the franchise is over. It's going the Medal of Honor route.
I agree.
And that breaks my heart to say because even though I love COD campaigns and I do play them religiously, and I definitely like COD campaigns over Battlefield campaigns because really only 3 and 4, and definitely 3 more so than 4, have good campaigns. I like Battlefield more in terms of multiplayer. I always found it more fun because I like the greater scale. I like the vehicles. I like having a diverse, you know, series of gameplay options. I like how I'm not, constricted to just being boots on the ground all the time. So to see it go away like this, it breaks my heart. And I really hope they can come back and rebound with 6. And the leak screenshots look great, but I need to see gameplay. And more importantly, I need a stable launch because, Battlefield games are notorious for launching buggy. But
Yeah, bro. I'm fucking Battlefield 4. Oh, that launch was just. Because I remember I was playing Battlefield 3 so much at the end, and then just 4 was just a complete mess at launch. I remember going over to my friend's house, and the servers were just shitting themselves. It was just so bad. So, I mean,
dude,
you really just gotta hope that they have some form of success here. Which I don't know. We'll see in a few days. I really do expect it to get announced tomorrow.
I really hope you're right. I mean, look, those screenshots are definitely real.
Yes,
Um,
and I trust Tom.
they're
You know, he's
I
been
mean, they
leaking
just
stuff for a
look real.
while.
I mean, they're definitely early access, images. These are
Yeah.
pre-alpha renders. I mean, it looks rough, but it looks good. Especially the shots with all the VTOL swarming over the island. I hope that's not the battle royale. I hope that is a multiplayer map because one, it looks beautiful and
He's saying that's a
gorgeous.
single player mission, but I'm sure that'll be a multiplayer.
Oh, no shit. That's even better,
That's
man.
single player. That's what he was saying at least.
I hope so. I mean, look, we need a revitalization of this franchise desperately. We're in dire need of successful Battlefield. This is it. I mean, make or break. And, I'm glad they're going back to modern, and people are like, oh, slightly futuristic. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but VTOLs are becoming the main thing now. I mean, obviously still have helicopters and airplanes. We'll have uses for them for many years to come. But I mean, just because something has a VTOL doesn't mean it's set in the hyper future. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's this decade, I guess you could say. Maybe a little bit further from where we are now, but it's definitely going to be in this decade or maybe early 2030s. I believe this decade though. Regardless, I really hope you're right, Frank, on the tomorrow thing. I really want it to be revealed then because I'm tired of waiting and it's a feeling of anxiety almost
Yeah.
because you don't again make or break. You don't know how it's going to turn out. Even
That's,
after the announcement, we're gonna have to probably wait till October, roundabout. So
yeah. All right. Let's move into our next topic. Good time to count down. Call of Duty.
hmm,
Let's talk about it for a little bit. So,
what they do now? Oh,
Crash 4's developers, Toys for
Toys for
Bob,
Bob.
they are officially supporting Warzone. And then
That's
someone
garbage.
from VGC came out, Andy Robinson, and he said that he's heard every studio at Activision is working on Call of Duty, which now means Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Beanox, High Moon Studios, Toy for Bob's, Activision Shanghai, and Demonware are all
So
working on
not
COD.
counting Blizzard.
Not counting Blizzard. They're still,
Okay,
but still.
that is so upsetting. I mean, they don't even mention Vicarious Visions by name. They've just been absolved and absorbed. That's so goddamn sad. They're gone. They're straight up gone. And now Toys for Bob is about to be assimilated as well. I mean, why? Crash 4 was great, dude.
They're also
Like it makes no sense.
because COD is
Tony
making them
Hawk
so
was
much
great.
fucking money, and they just don't care. It's
But make
ridiculous.
other games. Like what? You give us a Crash Bandicoot sequel like to the original trilogy after how many years? It's great, pretty much universally beloved, and you're like, "Oh yeah, those devs they're gone now." Like it doesn't make any sense, man. You can have more than just one FPS per year, Activision. Christ. I like this is this pisses me off, man, because it's so inherently greedy. You are screwing over so many talented individuals for the sake of inflating profit margins that are already abnormally and gargantuanly huge. I mean, this is completely unnecessary. I like I get they're stumbling behind. I get, they're trying to focus a lot on Warzone as well as the regular COD experience. And I get COD 2021 is struggling right now. Project Vanguard or whatever it's called, the next COD World War II game. I don't know if it's going to be a direct sequel, but that's what's been rumored to come out because Sledgehammer has been confirmed as of yesterday to be the developer. And that was rumored for a while, but now we have the official confirmation that the 3-year cycle is back, the 2-year cycle is gone, even though it was only instituted for like maybe one time.
Yeah.
Um, so I just look, I understand why to a certain extent why they need to do this because their cash cow is waning, but it needs to wane. I mean, COD has been a yearly release for decades now. I mean, a break is long over, well, not decades, but it will be in 2 years.
It should be an
It
every 2-year game. It doesn't need to be every year. It makes no sense. Well, it makes sense why they do it because they're making a fucking shit ton
yeah,
of money every time they
but
release.
it shouldn't be at the expense of other franchises that have nothing to do with COD, even genre-wise. I mean, I
Exactly,
get you
dude.
don't make another FPS because you have your main FPS, right? But why do platformers have to suffer for that? Why do RPGs have to suffer for that? Why do adventure games have to suffer for that, you know? I mean, like, that was why when, like, Sekiro was published by them, that really surprised me. It was like a one and done thing, no DLC. I was like, "Huh." And then that was it. I guess that was a surprise because nothing like that came after.
Yeah.
And now we just see them raising their own studios and dismantling them and just pushing them into places where they don't belong, instead of places where they could be better used, like their own independent studio, which they had before. And this is just greed at its worst. I hate seeing it. I hate seeing it. And I hate seeing it so close to the closure of Vicarious Visions as well. It's like a 1-2 punch. I mean, I don't like I want to say I don't understand because we are just losing such talented groups of people here, but I do because of capitalism and I love capitalism, but this is probably the worst side of it,
Yeah, I mean, Vicarious Visions is now not even really a part
Well,
of
not the worst
Activision.
side of it, but what part of the worst side of it, I should say.
Yeah. But I mean, they're
Yeah.
not even part of Activision anymore. They're a fucking Blizzard studio now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's essentially what they're. It's ridiculous. It really. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, they're making a shit ton of money, and that's all they care about. And if COD flops, they're fucked. So, but COD's
Yeah,
not gonna
pretty
flop
much. I mean, but here's the
because,
thing, even if COD flops, they could still scrap that and just stick with Warzone now.
yeah,
Which is even more frightening to think about, like, you'll just kill COD to keep Warzone alive. I don't think we're there yet, but give it 5, 7 years.
yeah,
I don't
single
know if
player
things
campaigns
will
are getting
head
too
this way.
expensive. They're just gonna be like, fuck it.
Look, man, I bought Black Ops 4 because the multiplayer was fun, and I played that with friends, but after that, if there's another COD game that is released without a campaign, I'm not gonna buy it because I looked back on it and I only played Black Ops 4 for like 2 months after it came out, and that was really it. And I'm like, wow, I got nothing out of that game. Because even though I only hit level 10 in Cold War and I never touched a multiplayer again because I hate it, I think it's the worst multiplayer in any Call of Duty game ever made. I think it's fucking abhorrent and disgusting. Regardless of that, I know I'm still gonna get more playtime out of it over the years over Black Ops 4 because of that single player campaign, because BO4's multiplayer is practically dead and there's no reason to go back to it. And even though Cold War's multiplayer will suffer the same fate in time as will every new COD release, I'll still have that campaign to go back to. And Cold Wars is replayable with choice and consequence.
Yeah,
So, I that is the main reason why I play these games. Again, like I stated before, Battlefield is where I go really for my multiplayer element, or more recently, Dead by Daylight. I've been playing the hell out of that. But like for shooters, it's Battlefield or COD if it ever goes back to its classic roots, or if it goes back to the new Modern Warfare style, because I really like that too. But yeah, I just look, Activision, everything they do, it concerns me greatly. I mean, they
yep,
are just, it's like they're digging their own grave. It's the most prolonged suicide I've seen ever. I mean, because it's gonna come crashing down on them. They can't sustain this. It's not viable for the long term. I mean, look at how they're scrambling together to get this year's COD release too, and there are rumors saying that they're already planning like a recovery
Yeah, the
roadmap
game's a mess. I
after
mean,
launch. Like that's not healthy to hear. Like you're already planning a roadmap of patches post launch because you know it's gonna fuck up that badly when it comes out. That's
and they
terrible.
can't just fucking delay it. Like, come on.
Yeah, and we're in May here. The game's not coming out till October, November. It's like you're already having those plans made, those things drafted up.
And
It's
people are
just
gonna buy it regardless. That's the thing
yeah,
that
you're
sucks.
preemptively screwing over the consumer, and people don't even give a shit.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm gonna buy it day one. I know it's gonna be a mistake, but I can't help it. I've been playing COD since I was a kid. My first one was the second. I've been in this shit for the long haul, so I need it for that campaign. But again, if that multiplayer is busted at launch, which it probably will be, I'm staying the fuck away. I'm staying on Battlefield. I'll take my 6 hours, possibly 12 or 18, depending on the replayability, and that'll be that. But
Yeah.
the fact that Toys for Bob has to suffer for this, like out of everybody there, it's like, and the other names you mentioned too, like High Moon, their last game was Deadpool in 2013. They haven't made anything since.
They're CODs too.
Like it's very demoralizing to hear because these guys are capable of, good independent titles and they shouldn't be relegated to this one franchise that, let's be honest, a lot of people are sick and tired of. It's a cash cow, but it's waning, like I said.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, so many of us, I think, are just fed up with it because we've been doing it for so many years now, and we're like, all right, I've had enough of this multiplayer. But then again, there's always going to be younger people coming in.
Yeah.
You know, the little 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds who are
The
playing COD for the
squeakers.
first time, and they're going to have fun just like we were having fun back on, BO2 and MW2 and all that. So there's always going to be new fans coming into the mix, and they're not going to care because they don't know about how the games were 10 years ago. So they're not going to be like, oh, they can't compare this to how it was in
It's
BO2
all
because
they
they
know.
weren't there. This is all they know. So they don't really know, like, oh, wow, this is bad because it's coming from the mobile game they've been fucking playing. This is amazing. So what are you going to do?
I
That's
mean, you're right, but it's just so tragic because I grew up, going from two. I only saw it get better because I loved the World War II stuff at first. It was so well made. I didn't like COD 3 at launch, but I'm actually replaying it now. I'm liking it a lot. But back Infinity War just consistently killed it because I love COD 2, and then COD 4 was my next one after I returned 3. And I was blown away. I mean, and then even though COD 4 is my favorite, and I've personally never played a COD game that has topped that, it's really like for the bigger picture of things, for like the community aspect, it's only gotten better because MW2 was phenomenal. So was 3, even though it was really just an extension of 2. Black Ops 1 shook the fucking world. Black Ops 2 annihilated it and rebuilt an entire new one with it at the center. It was that revolutionary. I mean, Black Ops 2 was the core of everybody's gaming conversation back in 2012, hell, even 2013. I mean, that shit took over the world.
and then Ghost is where it
Um,
all went downhill.
and then yeah, after that, it just went downhill. After the MW trilogy wrapped up and Black Ops went away from the actual Black Ops story and just went 40, 50 years in the future, it started to collapse and crumble and decay. And now we're seeing it continue to rot. I
Yep.
mean, COD World War II was a good effort to try and bring something back, but there was no passion behind it. It was like a straight ripoff of Saving Private Ryan, just with different story beats,
Yeah.
but a lot of the same ones as well. So it's like, where does this end? We know how it ends, but where and when?
Is predetermined. All right. I say we move into our next topic.
Absolutely.
All right. Up next, Konami. So they came out and said that they will not be going to E3. They said that they have a lot of projects in development, deep development, but they're not going to be ready for E3. They said that they support the ESA and they wish the best to everyone going there. I mean, I want to be like, oh, that sucks, but then again, I know they probably would have just went there and announced some like fucking soccer game,
Pachinko.
and that would have been it. And here's some new things to
Yeah,
gamble
Pro
at.
Evolution
But then
Soccer
again,
and
the
the
other
new
part of
Metal
me was
Gear
like, oh
Solid
shit, maybe this
Pachinko.
is where we would have heard about the Silent Hill ports, or this is where we would have heard about, something from Metal Gear. And I think it is still possible that you could see stuff like that, like a Sony show or an Xbox show. I think this is more or less just saying that Konami's not going to have their own conference, right?
I think it's more saying they just don't have anything to show at this time.
Probably right too, honestly. So
I
yeah,
mean, I think if they do have anything to announce right now, it's not big enough for a whole showcase.
I agree.
But I do so they would probably just do like a one-off thing, like a trailer, maybe do it at a Sony Direct if it was through them or an Xbox event, whatever. Regardless, or Sony State of Play, whatever it's
Yeah,
properly called. Regardless, personally, I think whatever they're doing right now is still in the pipeline and will be for a little bit of time. So I don't think they're skipping E3 for any, selfish profit, centric goal in
yeah,
mind. I think they just don't have anything right now. But I
yeah.
could
And
be
I
wrong.
think we'll see them at the Game Awards probably. I think
Probably.
that
We'll
makes a
see
lot of
some.
sense because something like Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, that
Well,
was
there's
just
still Summer Games Fest too. You got to
that is true.
remember.
It could pop up anywhere over there. So a lot of different opportunities to see it, and we'll keep our ear out and keep an eye on things. Now up next, just a little short thing here, but I did want to mention it because I saw it on Twitter today. Let me get the timestamp. All right, I wrote that down. All right. So Jason Schreier came out with a report saying that Konrad Tomomiski, who is the director of The Witcher 3, I might have butchered his name, has left CD Projekt Red following allegations of workplace bullying. An investigation found him not guilty, but he quit and apologized for all the bad blood he may have caused. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think this is really going to change
So is
much.
this a director or the creative director?
It just says the director, the top director.
The top director. So this was the guy at the helm of Witcher 3, I
Let me see.
assume.
Witcher 3
But
creative.
definitely Cyberpunk? Or do we know what this guy worked on specific or
Hang on. So on The Witcher 3, yeah, he was one of the directors. One of the few. There was multiple directors in The Witcher 3, I guess.
mm,
Um, he was the Cyberpunk guy. Oh, no, he wasn't the Cyberpunk guy. Witcher 3 game director becomes Cyberpunk design director. So he was the design director on the Cyberpunk.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, he was a higher up there, and he has
Oh,
left.
absolutely.
I don't think this really changes the vision, though, for The Witcher 3. I mean, The Witcher 4 or whatever they're doing in the Witcher universe
I
next.
agree. Yeah.
I'm sure they have their plans in
I'm sure he'll
place.
land on his feet with
Yeah.
that resume too. I mean, if he was causing problems, I'm glad he's gone. But if not, well, I'm not even gonna say if not
Yeah.
because the place is such a volatile and toxic studio. I just, or at least during Cyberpunk's development, it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna assume that. If the developers were under more strain due to his presence, I'm glad he has been removed from the situation and that angst has been alleviated. But
Agreed.
I just don't like seeing people lose their jobs. It's just it's a weird sort of thing to have an opinion on, especially with how much of a sticky situation it is.
All
So I'm
right.
gonna stop talking about
Now we do
it.
have a brand new topic that's popped up. Some breaking news. Mike, I
Oh,
have. It's about something you're
news.
very excited for. I have bad news and I have good news. What would you like to hear first?
Bad news
All right.
first.
The bad news is that it looks like we're not getting a review copy of Resident Evil Village because the good
Yeah.
news is the review scores are out and they are very good.
Well, that is some bad news, but probably expected at this point. What are the review scores? I
Well,
mean,
this guy right here
Metacritic
has said he has
doesn't
beaten the
shit.
game 9 times now and had an excellent time on each playthrough. Um,
See that? Why can't that be me? Come on.
I don't want to read
I
anything directly. But right now it has an 85 on Metacritic.
an
But it
85.
looks
Well,
like only
that's
like big news people got it. It doesn't really seem like I don't think
look.
AC.
Metacritic is bullshit. All right, Fallout New Vegas, probably one of, if not the best game of all time, is at an 84. It doesn't mean shit to
Yeah,
me anymore. Especially with like whatever Last of Us 2 is fucking at compared to the user score.
but they're all good
The way
reviews.
they dissed Ghost of Tsushima. Like I don't like Metacritic really at all. and find them to be quite misrepresentative of the general consensus of a game. A lot of the time now, back in the day they were good, but I don't want to drone on about that. But hey, Resi 8's good. Guess who was calling it this entire time? Even when 7 was first out, I said the sequel, man, it's gonna be insane. And guess who called it? Look, I'm not one to boast, but I am a Resi diehard, so I just I'm reaping what I'm sowing at this point, but it's in a good context. It's in a very good context. I personally think it'll be a lot better than an 8.5. I think that's a load of bullshit, as I was saying before, but I have no way of knowing until I play the game. But to me, 7 was a 10, so I imagine this will be an 11.
Dude, I'm
I mean,
excited for it. I mean, these
this
reviews
movie
are all
looks like
looking
it's
good.
gonna
What
be
I'm reading.
better. I mean, it's that same level of grotesque, but at the same time, it's tame to the point where it's not like over the top like it is in Saw or whatever. And combining those elements and the first person perspective from 7 into the same type of scenario of 4, it's genius, man. It's the perfect combination. It's what I've been saying this whole time. And this game, not only is it going to sell like crazy, it is going to be remembered for a significantly long amount of time. And honestly, I'm making a prediction right here, right now. It's going to be the best Resident Evil game ever made. I mean, it's just the stars are aligning. It really is. My level, I'm inherently biased. I'll say that right now. But my level of hype is untethered.
Dude,
It's uncontained. I mean, I'm waiting for it. I'm ready. I'm so fucking ready.
I am
I'm going
fucking
to
ready
bed
too. But I am
nice
like,
and early on Thursday night. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna watch the new episode of Bad Batch. I'm gonna wait for the UPS man to bring my packages here, and then I'm going to install it, shut my blinds, shut my door, and then probably be left alone for the entire weekend, finish out the semester, and then play for the entirety of summer and not come out until the fall.
dude, you know how much I hated that Mr. X like stalking me, and I hated
Yeah,
Jack when he stalked me, and I know there's gonna be stalking sections in this game.
yeah. See, I don't know how to feel about that because I like the level of tension it adds, but I thought it was more special when it was isolated to certain games. I don't know how I'm feeling that like every Resident Evil game needs a stalker type enemy now
Yeah, it's
because
like
4 didn't have one. It was great. So
yeah, and I
like
even like RE3. There's no stalking for the most part in that. Like I know the one guy.
Nemesis stalks you the entire
No,
game.
but he like comes in certain sections of the game. Like it's like
Yeah, but it RE3 has like such good pacing where if you're playing it, not necessarily in one sitting, it might be in one sitting, but if you're playing it, you know, in a short amount of time, I mean, you feel like you're constantly being chased,
all right.
especially during that first playthrough. You know what I mean?
I just felt like I only did one playthrough of the game, but I felt like it was more artificial to a way, like where I would feel safe and I would
Well,
know
yeah,
like with Mr. X, dude, like that motherfucker was stomping around the entire time. He was always there. If you stayed still for long enough, he was gonna come find you.
yeah, which
Technically
I also
speaking.
found to be annoying after a certain amount of time, especially on repeat playthroughs. I just take out the rocket launcher and I blast his ass. I don't have time for it.
It's like I'm not huge on that, especially when I'm trying to like solve like a puzzle or something. Like
Yeah.
it adds tension, but like I don't know. And I
It
know
does.
it's coming
I
next.
thought when they did it for Jack, that was the best way they've ever implemented it. I know people really say that Mr. X is the best, but honestly, I can find at times that he can be bullshit a little bit. Um, it's nothing insurmountable, but it can be a nuisance. With Jack, I thought it was really an element of terror. I thought it was utilized perfectly. I mean, it was just terrifying. I remember locking myself in the shotgun room in the Ming house and him just standing out there
Oh,
taunting me. It's great stuff, man. I hope in 9 there's not one. If we're getting another one in 8, I think it might only be for the castle section, and maybe there might be Heisenberg, the werewolf that stalks you,
yeah.
outside. But, hopefully there are some sections where you're fine, apart from safe rooms, obviously. And I hope that the next Resident Evil, I don't want it to be like completely linear per se, like 5 and 6, but I want it to be I don't like we'll always have the games with the stalker type enemy, right? So why do we need another?
Yeah.
This, because we can just go back and play the ones with the follower enemies if we want that level of, fear. So I don't know. They can do other things. They can explore other creative avenues of scaring your ass off than having someone follow you around all
Yeah,
the time. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So
Well,
again, fine for this game. Hopefully in 9 they change it up.
yes. Well, that is it, guys, for all the topics we have this week. So thank you once again for watching, and we
Thank you
shall see
everyone.
you in the next one.